My dad wants forgiveness, but I don't think I can give it. Written by ForgottenWell. I drove home after an awful shift, trying not to scream in my car. I was going to need a glass of wine. No, I was going to need a bottle of wine. I kicked off my shoes, walked towards my kitchen, and shrieked when I saw my father sitting at my dining room table. "We need to talk," my father said somberly. "How the f*** did you get in here?" I asked. "I'm sorry." "What?" "I'm sorry about Aiden. Would you please take a seat?" My father extended his hand to the chair across from him. In the years since Aiden's death, my father had never apologized. I didn't want him here, but it'd be real shitty not to hear him out now. I sat in the chair. "There, happy?" I snarled. "Chicken wing, I need you to forgive me." Dad always called me his little chicken wing, a nickname he refused to give up, even though I had outgrown it decades ago. "I told you not to call me that. Abby, I'm begging. Please." When Aiden was 4, I had to pick up a shift at the hospital. My parents agreed to watch him for me. Mom laid down for a nap, and Dad decided to get Aiden some ice cream. On the way to Dairy Queen, they got into a car accident. "I don't think I can." "Abby, you have to. My son is dead because of you." "It wasn't my fault." Dad started crying. "Why was Aiden in the front seat, Dad? If he was in the back, he'd still be alive. He begged me to sit in the front. How could I say no to my only grandson?" A drunk driver swerved over the center line and hit them head on. 4-year-olds aren't supposed to get hit by airbags. I can't have this conversation again. I stood up and told my dad that he should leave. "Wait!" Dad bellowed. "You're right. I shouldn't have let him sit in the front. I made a terrible mistake. Hate me all you want, but please, at least forgive me." "Dad, Abby, I don't know how much time I have left. I mourn for my grandson, but I never thought I'd lose my daughter too. Please." I took a deep breath and thought about what my son would want. "Fine, Dad. I forgive you." Suddenly, blood started running from Dad's nose. I gasped and rushed to my living room to get some Kleenexes. As I grabbed the box, my cell phone rang, and I saw that my mom was calling. I bet she put Dad up to this. Today seemed really out of character for him. He never wanted forgiveness this badly. Maybe that's why I finally gave in. "Hello?" I said into my phone. "Abby, I've got bad news." Mom was sobbing into the phone. "Your dad, he had an aneurysm. He passed away 20 minutes ago." I looked at my dining room table. My dad had vanished. My brother wants me to give him my inheritance. Written by ForgottenWell. My older brother, Aaron, texted me today. First time I had heard from him in 15 years. I was hoping for a, "Hey, long time. How have you been?" Instead, the message I received said, "I know Dad left you everything in the will. I want my share." Our dad hadn't even been buried yet, and Aaron was already trying to plunder my inheritance. "That's rich coming from you, considering you abandoned us," I texted back. "Oh, please," he responded. "You and Dad were happy to be rid of me." Where do I even begin? When Aaron turned 18, he packed his things and left. No warning, no explanation. I was only 12 years old. I tried calling him, texting him. I even called his friends to see if any of them knew how I can get in touch with him. After weeks of trying, I got a single sentence out of him. "I can't be what he wants me to be." Our father wanted us to join the family business, but following in Dad's footsteps required a certain amount of, how do I put this nicely, brains. My older brother, for all his charms, was dumber than a rock, a trait, it appears, he never outgrew. "Dad and I kept in touch," he texted. "I bet you didn't know." "Dad and I talked every day, and he never once mentioned you." "He said he was going to change his will to include me, but he died before he could." Yeah, I very much doubt that. I laughed as I texted him. "I can prove it." Aaron sent me screenshots of texts between him and a contact titled Father. They talked about letting bygones be bygones, how Dad was sorry he didn't try harder to bring Aaron back to our family, and how much they respected each other. It ended with them both agreeing that Aaron was entitled to half of Dad's inheritance. What a fucking joke. "Those could be doctored or faked entirely," I texted. "You can believe whatever you want, but the fact remains that I'm his firstborn son. I'm his oldest child, and I'm entitled to half, maybe even more, actually." "Half of what? You don't even know what was in the will." "I'm sure he gave you the house and all his creepy shit down in the basement. Keep it. I don't want it. All I need is some spending money. You owe me that much. It's what Dad would have wanted." I walked down to the basement and looked at everything my dad had left me, his entire laboratory. There's no way my brother was getting anything from me. "Why don't I ask him?" I texted. "What the hell are you talking about?" "I'll ask Dad if that's what he would have wanted, and then I'll get back to you." I turned my phone off and picked up my dad's life work, My Inheritance, a small journal of notes on the methodology of bringing a corpse back to life. My husband has always treated me right. Written by ForgottenWell. Being pregnant is exhausting. The hormones, the muscle aches, and don't even get me started on my bladder control. Last week, I coughed too hard and had to change my undies. Fortunately, I have a wonderful hubby, and he's been taking care of me every step of the way. At least that's what I thought, until he brought home takeout tonight. "Honey, I'm home. I've got dinner." "Oh, thank goodness, I'm starving," I said. "What'd you get?" "Your favorite, salmon nigiri from that sushi place on 10th Street. I could not believe what he was saying. "Are you stupid?" I asked him point blank. "What's wrong? Not in the mood for sushi?" "Hello?" I said, grabbing my belly with both hands. "Pregnant? I can't eat raw fish. Do you know how dangerous that could be for the baby?" Normally, I would chalk it up to my husband being tired after a long day of work, but my husband has read A Husband's Guide to Pregnancy twice. He knows what I can and cannot eat. Half the time, he knows what's happening to my body even better than I do. But when I told him about eating raw fish, he just got this wide-eyed look on his face and went completely silent. He refused to even look at me. I've tried to talk to him since then, but he's been unusually quiet. Whenever I try to talk about the baby, he quickly changes the subject or finds an excuse to get out of the house. I've run it through my head 1,000 times, and I can only think of one possible explanation. I don't think he wants this baby anymore. I think he knew that eating raw fish could get me sick with listeria and kill our baby. I don't think our baby will be safe with my husband in the picture, and I will not lose this baby. The next morning, when he went to work, I started my preparations. If he wanted to poison our child, then I was going to fight fire with fire. I cooked my husband's favorite dinner, carnitas tacos with homemade corn tortillas, something flavorful so he wouldn't notice that I added a dash of rat poison. When my husband got home and saw I had made dinner, his eyes lit right up. He was smiling as he shoveled taco after taco into his mouth. "Oh, I'm so glad you're cooking again," my husband said. "I thought you deserved some pampering for once." A tear rolled across my husband's cheek. "You know, after what happened, I wasn't sure you'd ever be the same." "What do you mean?" "The miscarriage. You took it so hard, even convinced yourself you were still pregnant. It's my fault too. I didn't know how to talk to you when you were like that. I didn't know how to be strong for you. But that's all in the past now. Maybe, one day soon, we can even try for another." I suspect my husband is killing my houseplants. Written by ForgottenWell. Ever since my children moved out and our 8-year-old cat Lenny passed away from old age, the only company I get is from my houseplants. Well, and from my husband. But to be honest, the plants make for better conversation. My husband works long hours, and that leaves me nothing but time to tend to my plants. It's a habit I picked up from my mother. In fact, some of my plants were hers. Some houseplants can live long lives, longer than most pets. That's why I was so devastated when I entered my green room this morning. My sago palm was dead. Very dead. It was a gift from my mother before she passed, and was approaching its 30th birthday. I told my husband about it, and he suggested that I was watering it too much. The look I gave him put the fear of God in him. I chalked it up to bad luck, and made sure to look after the rest of my plants meticulously. But 2 weeks later, my spider plant died as well. Do you know how hard it is to kill a spider plant? In all my years, I'd never experienced a plant dying like that. Usually, they wilt over a long time and die slowly, but never outright overnight. When I asked my husband if he was doing something to my plants, he said no, but when I pushed him, he got defensive and said he never touched my stupid plants. I'm sure he was the culprit. I've heard of husbands doing things like that before to take their wives down a peg. Maybe he was jealous of the time I spent with them. I began watching my husband like a hound dog, and he started acting funny. His hair was turning gray, and wrinkles were forming around his eyes. I'm convinced it's because of his guilty conscience. My plants were thriving, but I knew it was only a matter of time before my husband struck again, so I set up a hidden camera in my green room. When I woke up and found my devil's ivy dead, I knew I had caught the bastard. I brought up the hidden camera app on my phone and scrolled until I saw my husband. I wanted to see how he was sabotaging my plants. I suspected he was poisoning them somehow. Instead, what I saw shocked me to my core. My husband put both his hands around the stem of my devil's ivy, and, like magic, the furthest leaves slowly turned brown all the way up to the stem. When he walked away, The plant was completely dead, like the life had been sucked right out of it. "What you watching, honey?" my husband asked. Nothing." I quickly clicked off my phone and looked at my husband. The wrinkles around his eyes and his gray hair had completely vanished. My husband put both his hands on my shoulders. "You weren't watching me last night, were you?" My daughter thinks I'm too old to drive. Written by ForgottenWell. My daughter insists that 84 is too old to drive. That's a laugh. I didn't know it was against the law for a senior citizen to operate a motor vehicle. She believes this so much, in fact, that she has stolen my car. That nasty daughter of mine asked to borrow my car for a doctor's appointment, and being the loving and caring mother that I am, I obliged. It's been a week, and she refuses to return it, said it was for my own good. I responded by asking my vile daughter why she was being so ungrateful. I birthed her, kept a roof over her head, and never asked for anything in return, not even for her to take care of me in my old age. Still, she refused because she thinks I am being unsafe. I went to the police to get my car back, and they were useless. Said I gave her permission to borrow it, so I couldn't report it as stolen. They told me not to call again or I'd get in trouble. I'd show them, and my ungrateful daughter. I went to Facebook to get help, and after posting on a senior citizen group, a lawyer reached out to me. Said he deals with cases like this all the time and would take me on pro bono. When he came over to my house, he was older than I expected, and handsome too. If he wasn't my lawyer, I would have asked him out for a drink. I might be old, but I'm experienced. My lawyer had me sign a lot of paperwork and had a notary stamp it. He apologized and said he missed the days where a handshake would do. He assured me this was the quickest way to get my car back without involving the police. 48 hours later, my lawyer showed up and said we were going to get my car. He wanted me to ride with him so I could drive my car back. When he stopped his car, we were waiting in the pickup area of Agatha's retirement community. Is my car here? Did that bitch sell it? No, my lawyer said. I'm here to drop you off at your new home. We sat in silence for a minute before I started laughing. You have a strange sense of humor. I'm not kidding. I can't afford this place, and even if I could, I still wouldn't go. Actually, you can. My lawyer pulled out some papers. Remember this? You signed over your house as collateral. Should pay for many happy years here. This isn't funny. Take me home. My lawyer rolled down the window and shouted out to 2 orderlies waiting by the curb. Boys, we've got an uncooperative newcomer. They came over and ripped me out of the vehicle. Wait! Wait! I cried. I have to call my daughter. Oh yeah, that's right. I was supposed to ask, why are you being so ungrateful? My husband doesn't want to quit drinking. Written by ForgottenWell. I never realized how much my husband drank until I got pregnant. I guess I was drinking a fair amount myself. 9 months of sobriety. I asked him to abstain with me, but he wouldn't. After I had our daughter, I never felt the need to drink again, but he started drinking more. There were lots of sleepless nights. Our daughter, God love her, was a horrible crier. How can such a little angel make such a horrible noise? I knew things had to change when I came home from a morning shift and he was drunk at 1 in the afternoon. I got upset with him and he struck me. Once he sobered up, he promised he'd never drink again, got on his knees and begged me to stay. I agreed, as long as he stayed sober. He dumped his liquor collection down the drain, every bottle except one. His father had gifted him some Macallan whiskey. It was expensive and the last thing my father gave me before he died. It never sat right with me. I was worried something might set him off and he'd be right back in the bottle. So, when he wasn't around, I got some rat poison and dosed the bottle. Several boxes, just to be sure. If he ever drank even a drop, it would be his last. But he never did. Weeks went by, soon 6 months. He was much happier, more positive. He laughed like he hadn't in years. I came home from work, and he was rocking our daughter delicately in his arms. She was so quiet. Aw, she's so peaceful. You should have heard her earlier. Was she being fussy? Wailing. Must have been teething. How'd you get her to stop? An old wives' trick. A little whiskey on the gums. My son got called into the principal's office. What he did made me sick to my stomach. Written by ForgottenWell. When I got to the principal's office, he gingerly placed a small sandwich bag onto his desk. Inside was a half a dozen bloody teeth. Miss Boyd, Marcus went around at recess hunting down anybody with a loose tooth. He ripped these all out and stole them for himself. I am so sorry, I said. He's never done anything like this before. It'd be best if Marcus went home for the day. Yes, of course. I'll take him right now. I got up to leave, but the principal stopped me. Would you mind taking the teeth with you? He said. If I look at them any longer, I'm gonna hurl. Sure, I said. The drive home was silent. I wanted to yell at Marcus, but at the same time, I knew this was partially my fault. Yesterday, Marcus lost his final baby tooth, but I didn't have any change for the tooth fairy. All I had in my purse was a 20, so I thought, what the hell? It's his final tooth, so why not give him the 20? The money must have gone to his head. He had taken enough teeth at school to get over $100. Marcus, I said, you're old enough now that I think you should know there's no such thing as the tooth fairy. Yes, there is, Marcus said, scowling. No, baby. Mommy's the one who puts money under your pillow at night. I saw her. What? He was fast asleep when I put the money under his pillow. She made me get her more teeth. She said she'd hurt me if I didn't. Marcus, this isn't funny. The tooth fairy isn't real, and what you did at school was cruel. Go to your room and think about what you did. Fine, Marcus cried and ran out of the car. I went inside and realized I still had the bag of teeth in my pocket. I threw it away in the kitchen and got on with my day. That night, I had a terrible nightmare. I was lying down in bed when someone small opened the door. At first, I thought it was Marcus, but then I saw their face, white and angular, with an impossibly large smile that went ear to ear. She wore a white dress, had white hair, and white eyes with no pupils. I wanted to get up, but I was paralyzed. She jumped onto the bed and crawled onto my chest. She opened my mouth, reached in, and grabbed one of my teeth, then pulled. I woke up screaming. I put my fingers in my mouth, but thankfully, my teeth were all there. That was fucked up. I went downstairs to make myself a cup of tea and shake off the nightmare. When I threw the tea back into the trash, I heard something, a clinking that could only be one thing. I looked in the trash, and there in the sandwich bag was 6 bloody coins. Is it really so bad to lie to your wife? Sometimes you need to lie. Written by ForgottenWell. My wife lifted her shirt and showed me the scaly rash engulfing her stomach. Do I need to go to acute care? No matter what, I couldn't let her go to the hospital. They probably just changed the laundry detergent ingredients. You'll be fine, babe, I lied. You sure? This morning it was barely pink. If tomorrow it's worse, I'll take you to acute care. I'm sure it's nothing. Besides, I have a surprise for you. I led her to the basement, where I'd set up her Nintendo Switch on the big screen. I lit every candle I could find for mood lighting. There was a bowl of her favorite seltzers on ice, just what I could get from the fridge. I couldn't go to the store. They were all closed. What's all this? She asked. I turned the TV on and revealed the home screen of Stardew Valley. Thank God she had the cartridge. I had already trashed the Wi-Fi router. I want to watch you play. She laughed. What? You hate this game? I never said I hate it. You did. I did. No, I lied. I said it wasn't for me. You need to finish the community center. I know you've been so busy at work. Why don't you finish it tonight? I want to watch it. That might take a few hours. Awesome. I'm excited. Stardew Valley was my wife's favorite game in the world. She played for 2 hours before she'd asked if I'd seen her phone. No matter what, I couldn't let her use her phone. I'm really sorry, babe. I broke your phone. What? I lost mine, so I was using yours and I broke it. I promise I'll get us new ones in the morning. She wanted to be mad, but I made a peace offering. I brought her the bottle of wine I was saving for our anniversary. We laughed, drank. She finished the community center. The wine caught up. As she laid down, she told me she felt weak. That's just the wine, I lied. I brought you a glass of water with the crushed ice in your favorite cup and the straw you like. I told her, you are my entire world. I love you. That was the truth. She said she loved me too. No matter what, I couldn't let her know. If she had left the house, used her phone, she would have seen the warnings they released today. The head of the CDC called it a world killer, some mutation of a mutation of EEE. The incubation period was 6 months, 6 horrible months where the virus was extremely contagious, airborne, and asymptomatic. They estimated 96% of the world was already infected. After 6 months, a rash appeared on your stomach. Then it got worse. Then, within 24 hours, your brain swelled, and you died. My wife will be dead by morning. She deserved one last nice night. I kissed her fevered forehead.